Everyone, Coach Trev, your accountability coach. Hope you had a great weekend. Bear with me while I continue to set things up here. And so let's see what we got here. um, let's dismiss that. All right, so bear with me for a second here. As I said, I'm going to set this up and we're going to keep things going. Hope you all had a great weekend. Feel comment in the chat. Let me know how your weekend was. Some people celebrated, some people grilled, some people had great barbecues. So go ahead and let me know how that is going for you. All right. So, and if you see my head turned, it's only because I have a couple of monitors. So I want to be sure that I am doing this. So you see our topic. We have a topic, fill the space. That's our topic for today. Give me a second. There you go. Boom. All right, so we got that going. Excellent. Okay, so we're good. And the last thing we have to do, probably should have saved this for first, but it is all good. Bear with me for another second. All right. So as I said, put in the comments. Let me know how your weekend was. No need to be shy. All right. Here we go. Okay. So let's go here. Yeah, today has been a bit of a day. It's a Monday. So um, that's what it's about. But this is really, everyone knows that Monday can be a test. So since it is a test, this is where the testing comes from. So we're going to move forward in this, and I got a good one for you. Also, I've got some news. So be sure you stick around for the update. All right. Okay. And boom. Okay. So we're done here. And I want to make sure that people can see me. If you can hear me, put a 1 into the chat. If you can hear me, put a 1 into the chat. All right. Heard a bang. And so that's good. Oh, I see that this needs charging. So bear with me, everyone. I want to thank you all for taking the time to come out on your busy Mondays. See. All right. Got that charging. So that's good. All right. Let's move this up. Good and good. Let me move this up just a touch. Got rid of it. Son of a gun. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this. So I'm just here, just want to see who is here with me, who's online for this Monday. Go ahead and type into the chat. Let me know that you are joining me. That would be great. All right. So now that we're here, as I said, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. Make sure you can hear me. I want to make heard. Oh, there you go. All right, this is good. We're going along well. So I want to thank you all for taking the time out to come and join me on this Monday. And I've got some great, exciting news for anyone that's been watching the post, the things that I've been doing on a regular basis. And this is a new week, so which means that this is day 1 of the new set of goals. So if you haven't been following me, for the last couple months, I've been posting about particular goals. Yep, I've been posting about particular goals, and so I want to I'm just checking in here and wanted to make sure everything is copacetic. All right, and let's turn this off. And so since I've been posting about those goals, I've been on. You've been seeing in real time how this has been for me. You've been seeing You've been seeing wins, you've been seeing losses, well, excuse me, lessons. You've been seeing lessons, and that's one of the key things. It's important to note the difference between the two. So I don't take it as losses, we take it as lessons. All right. So let's come on in and have a good time. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we're seeing this. All right, here we go. Great. So let me pull up my notes here because, as I said, I have a great one for you today. Today we're our topic is fill in the space, 8 things you need to know to grow. All right, 8 things you need to know in order to grow. Okay, so let's grab that. There you go. Let me yank that over here. Boom, got it. And I'm gonna keep on going. What? You can hear me? Excellent, excellent. Okay. So who has been paying attention to my post? Who's been out there? Who's been, and mind you, if all your hands are going up, how come you're not commenting? How come you're not liking? Remember, it doesn't cost much. It does not cost much just to share, to like, to comment, do those things to encourage. It helps me out, but also it helps you out as well. It shows that you are someone that's regular, someone that's going to be constantly utilizing this particular platform, making sure that you are doing the most in order to be heard, seen, all those things. All right. So that's an important thing. So I did say I had some exciting news, and as soon as I finish sharing this out, I am going to clue you all in. All right, so news I have is this. I have published my second book. Yes, so it is out. Yes, it is out. It is a wonderful thing. Yep, it's a wonderful thing. I was about to say, where are my facts? Here we go. Things have moved. I was gonna give you something. There's gonna be some sound effects I was gonna add. Hey, Rich, good to see you. Hope everything is well. So yes, I published my second book. It was published on July 4th. So my first book is called The Doorways of Life. Yep, The Doorways of Life. And it was my introduction to the authorship. So I published that on May 23rd. That was excellent. And it was a great thing. And so I've been pushing that out. Now that book came from a video series that I was doing. I was putting that out there. It was about the videos were about anywhere from a minute to 3 minutes. So me being an accountability coach, I think it's important to have a coach. So what I was doing is I was talking to my coaches about it, and one of my coaches said, hey, why don't you take that series and turn that into a book? So, and I'd always come up with thoughts and come up with ideas and titles. So this was a great opportunity for me to move forward in that. So I did. I wrote this book. I wrote The Doorways of Life. That was published May in 2023. Very happy about that. Now, since I told you I have titles that come in my head, and I still have titles that come in my head. So I was eager to push out the next thing. Hey, how are you? And so my book published on July 4th, which is called The Doorways of Life. So it's officially released on July 4th. I'm incredibly grateful for everyone who supported it. I'll tell you a little more about it towards the end, because what it does is my book, The Gates of Growth. So it's Doorways of Life, Volume 2, The Gates of Growth. And little hint, there will be a Volume 3. So you do have an opportunity to come in and help and all that good stuff, to support. So I'll tell you more about it, because really what we're talking about tonight connects with the book. So here's the principle, is that most people think growth is about getting rid of bad habits. Now that was me. So when I say most people, I'm including myself in this, and also understand that when I do speak and I say most people, many people, I'm including myself in that, because there was a transformation, then there is transformation that goes on. So just wanted to give you that insight, that heads up on that. All right. Let me just make sure everybody is good. I'm good here. Okay, that's good. And we're good here. Okay. So now that that's going and I have that space, bear with me, bear with me. Just want to be sure. Oh, keep that quiet. Okay. Now, now that I have that, and so I thought about that. We talk about habits. There are many books out there that talk about habits, the construction of habits. How do you form them? How do you create them? There are many people that think that consider that growth in your progression, your transformation is part of getting rid of bad habits, such as I need to stop procrastinating, I need to be more clean, I need to be more disciplined, or wanting to say I cancel. Um, well, need to stop worrying. You put the I in there, you say you need to stop comparing yourself. Now, not to say these are bad things, and these are great goals to have. Now, the challenge with this is that you can't simply remove something from your life and expect that space to stay empty. It doesn't work like that. So, nature doesn't like an empty space. Trust me, if anybody knows that, I do. It's not a matter of saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to think this certain way, or I'm going to stop thinking a certain way. So, if you stop thinking a certain way, those thoughts, they go out, they go somewhere, they're hanging out there. They're saying, you know what? I've been pushed out here, so let me see what's out in the world. Takes a quick trip out in the world, comes back, and then comes in and says, hey, what's in that space? What's in that space? Hey, good to meet you. Good to see you, Forrest. What's in that space? And if nothing is in that space, it says, hey, I'm returning back home. It's been swept pretty clean. So now it's not about it's about not about just get rid of habits, because not only does nature oppose an empty space, your mind doesn't like an empty space. Neither does your schedule, or your habits. Empty space is not a welcome thing. So, and if you don't intentionally fill the space with something better, then the old habit, as I said, it'll come back. So what I want to do is share 8 things you should replace if you really want to grow. All right. So if you want to grow, you've got to replace this with this. It's not a matter of saying, let me stop this. You've got to put something in that space. Or what is that? What does it represent? What's filling it? Okay. So if this is landing for you, put a 1 in the chat for me. Put a 1 into the chat. If that is landing for you, put a 1 into the chat. Put a 1 into the chat. So that's good. All right. All right. So now we've got that 1 into the chat. And we're good here. Good and good. Hey, Miss Tabitha. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for putting out. Thank you. All right. So number 1, with confidence grows where preparation lives. So the first thing we want to talk about is you want to replace self-doubt with preparation. Yes, replacing self-doubt with preparation. So most people are trying to just eliminate self-doubt. They realize it's something within them. They've done the homework, they've done the habits, they may have done some journaling, whatever steps they took, they got a chance to really take inventory of themselves. When they did that, they isolated one of the issues down, and it was self-doubt. Now, I've learned that confidence usually isn't the starting point. That's not where we start. It's preparation. We start here. Every time we study, every time you practice or improve your skills, you're giving yourself another reason to believe in your ability. So your confidence begins to grow because you put in the work. You put in the effort. You take the time out to do that. You are intentional with that action. You're guarding it. You're making sure that you're pushing that forward. So you begin to walk and operate in preparation. So you're saying, okay, it's not about self-doubt. It's being in a prepared mind. Prepared mind is one that moves forward. So your confidence begins to grow because you're putting in the work. You continually take action. You're not that park statement. You're not stuck in a paralysis analysis. And so now it means that you are moving forward in that. So preparation, what that does is it gives your mind the evidence. And what evidence does is that evidence quiets insecurity. So if you're feeling low about something, if you're not confident in your space that you have there, then it's about your preparation and you taking action. That's where you're going to build and that's where you're going to grow. See, the more prepared you become, the less self-doubt has room to grow. Self-doubt is now being pushed out. You have to think of it as almost like a cup. And so the more that you have a cup here, and the more that you pour in preparation, self-doubt gets pushed to the top and pushed out. And if self-doubt comes back in to try and return, to move forward, to say, hey, let me go back into the cup, it's going to find the cup full. So you don't want to wait until you feel confident to begin. You just begin preparing, and the confidence will eventually catch up with you. All right. So begin that preparation, take that action. So what you're doing is you're replacing your wondering if you can with proving to yourself that you can. That's how that moves on. All right. So this is landing. Put a yes in the chat or put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat if this is landing for you. Put a one in the chat. Keep it simple. Yep. Keep it thorough. All right. Let me see the ones. Good and good. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's move on to number 2. So number 2, we talked about this earlier when we started, is that replace procrastination with action. See, one of the key terms of this is action is the cure for overthinking. Yes. Now, know this, procrastination almost always promises a better tomorrow. It's out there, it's shiny, and it's giving you these promissory notes that will not be valid. It's saying that tomorrow is better. The problem is tomorrow. It's for the future. The problem is that tomorrow always keeps moving. It's always there. You never catch it. You always say, I'm going to do this tomorrow, and it never comes. Because we're waiting for that tomorrow. And many times there are times where we can often wait until we feel motivated. We're waiting for a feeling. Now, if you haven't realized this, let me let you know, feelings, they're chemicals. So it depends, it almost fluctuate how the wind blows. So if you're waiting for a feeling, you could be waiting for a long time. Some people are waiting for that. They wait hours, days, weeks, months, even years to get into that space, to get into that feeling of moving. And so what you can do is take action. What action does is action creates much more than motivation can. It's not a feeling, it's you making forward. So how do you take action? Well, you start with one phone call. You start with a paragraph. You start with a workout. You start with one line, one difficult conversation. Now, what those are small actions. What those small actions do, those small actions create momentum. And so that momentum is going to push you forward. Well, momentum builds the confidence. So the momentum builds on top of the preparation we talked about in number 1. We replace self-doubt with preparation. Now we're replacing procrastination with action. That action, momentum. Momentum builds the confidence. That confidence keeps you moving. It keeps you in the progress of stepping forward, of stepping into where you are, where you're supposed to be. So as you're doing that progress, it begins the moment that you stop waiting and the moment that you start acting, the moment you take action. See, there are 2 things. There's traction in everything you do. You can either have attraction or distraction. So my suggestion is to move forward with the attraction. Fill that empty time with meaningful action, right? All right, so it's landing. Okay. All right, I'll be here. Thank you for stopping in. Okay, number 3. I've talked about this before, and so this is something that's very familiar. Replace and before I move on to number three, be sure to go ahead and if you have any questions, put them into the chat. Any questions about anything that I've talked about? This is a great time. If you need some coaching, I can do that right here. Answer some questions for you. If you want to do something one on one, just message me, and we can connect with the free session. Okay, where we're on Zoom, so you and I discussing your specific detail, your specific challenge. That way, you can get that detailed one on one. So if you're interested in it, just message me. So next, we want to replace comparison with gratitude. So you can't appreciate your own journey while trying to live someone else's, you know, and you're disappointed because what happens is that you're comparing your life to someone else's snapshot. That's it. When you're seeing someone else, you're seeing the best of them. Many times that's a highlight reel. It's it's shiny. It's no, you don't see all the steps that they take. Don't see all the work, the people they talk to, the days they went to, the hours, the moments, all of the actions, the micro wins, the micro steps that they had to take, because you're focused on comparison. Now, the challenge with comparison is that comparison does a few things. It steals your focus. Why? Because now you're not focused on your work. You're now putting your attention to someone else's and what they're doing, or how they're challenged, how they're moving in a different space. So that's how comparison steals your focus. It also steals your joy. If you're constantly comparing, hey, welcome in. If you're constantly comparing, hey, Beatrice, comparing yourself, then and you're seeing how you don't measure up to someone, that steals your joy, because you're comparing, as I said, you're comparing your entire book to someone's chapter. And so you want to be very mindful about that, because that will steal your joy, and it steals your push in there. If your joy is stolen, and then what happens is that as you lose joy, it chews away and steals at your confidence. It erodes your confidence in the things that you do, that what you have to compare. And that's what comparison does. Especially with all the platforms that we have out there now, it makes comparison so much easier because people are popping up just like that. You're comparing your everyday life to someone else's reel, and that's not fair. That's not the fair thing to do. So don't do that. Be mindful of that. It's not, you're looking at starting something, but yet, your beginning is someone else's middle, or their peak. So when you focus on gratitude then it changes your perspective. What it does is it reminds you how much that you've already accomplished, all the steps that you've done, the things that you've done, the steps that you've taken in order to get here. You look back and it helps you to recognize opportunity that comparisons hides. So so take the time, be grateful, celebrate your growth, celebrate your own progress. Stay focused on your assignment instead of someone else's. That will get you that much farther. It's when you replace comparison with gratitude. Right? Everyone good? Any questions? Okay. Hope this is landing for you all. All right, go ahead. Yep, for all of you there, just be sure to comment, AP. Welcome in. So now, the next thing that we want to talk about is 8 things. Is in the 8 things that needs to help you grow, how we fill the space is this: replace excuses with ownership. That's right, replace excuses with ownership. See, the moment you own something, it's the moment that you can change it. When you decide to own it, when you decide to take full advantage and say, this is mine, that's when you are in the driving seat. That's when you've taken control. See, if you have an excuses, they're temporary because they make you feel better in the moment, not in the momentum. Excuses are temporary. So ownership, it makes your life better permanently. So it's not just a temporary status. It's not you putting a band-aid on something that has a massive leak or gush. So you want to be sure that you are taking ownership. How do you do so? You ask yourself some better questions. And you ask yourself and sit down and take inventory. Get a pen, grab a notebook, grab a journal, and ask yourself, what are the things you can control? What can you improve? And what you do is you take that list down and you say, these are the things that I can control, and break it up into the day. What can I control in the morning, afternoon, night? Be specific as possible. See, specificity helps you with your goals and helps you with your actions to outline the steps you want to take. So as you're growing, you're moving forward. Now, the next thing is you ask yourself, what can I improve? Meaning that what are the steps you can take to improve on things here? So it's like, how can you improve? How can you move forward? What are the steps? What are steps you can actually do to put you in a space of moving forward? All right. Bear with me. Just want to check something. Beautiful. Okay. All right. So now that we have that, you ask, what can you improve? Next, ask, what lessons can you learn? Say, how can I learn? How can I grow? How can I develop on this? See, you're now taking responsibility because you ask yourself, what can you control? Yes, you said, what can I control? What can I improve? And what can I learn? When you take the time and list out those things, now you're putting tangibility to your actions. It's not you saying, well, I did this, I fell because of this, or I dropped because of that. I didn't meet this deadline because of X and Y and Z. Tons of excuses, tons of excuses. However, when you decide to take that action, then that's really when you have more of a permanent fix. Here we go. Now, if you're looking for someone to blame, and I know that's one of the things I used to do. See, when I served in a leadership position, I would look at all the leaders, and anytime I went into a meeting, I was always mindful of the way I spoke. So if something was amiss, let's say there was a process someone had in order to request space. There's a building, somebody needs to request space for a certain event. And the current process was not suiting the needs. So one of the things I did is I made sure that the focus was on the process and not the person. See, the language is even changing. So when you focus on the process, then you work together. You're getting ideas in from this person and that person. That's what I was doing. I was getting ideas in. If I blamed it on the person, that person gets defensive. Their ideas get shut in because they're now looking to defend their character, to defend their space because of this. If you focus, if you assign the focus to owning it and saying, let's make this change, that's what's going to, then you get the buy-in of that. So I didn't want to create limits, and that's what blame does. When you start to blame a person, then you're putting lids on anything that can come forward. So it's really taking responsibility, saying, listen, we're all here. We're taking ownership. Let's fix the process. That's a key thing, okay? So you start with that, and once you have that ownership, then what comes after ownership is that accountability comes into play, meaning that someone's going to hold you accountable for processing and applying the steps that you take. See, every time you stop making excuses, you basically give yourself the power to move forward. So that's how that works. And growth begins the moment excuses end. So be sure when it comes to the replacements that you're doing, this number 4, you're replacing your excuses with ownership. All right, put a 1 in the chat. That's landing for you. Put a 1 into the chat. All right. Okay. Now let's move forward. Move on to where are we at? We're at number 5. Number 5. Let's replacing fear with purpose. See, when your purpose gets bigger, when you focus on that, then what happens is fear gets smaller. So when people said that they have a particular fear, hi, how are you? Okay. Glad everything is good with you. Everything is going well. Thank you for saying hey. Come on in and stay a while. Feel free to tap the screen. Partmates, share out the live, share this out. That would be great. Would greatly appreciate it. So now that I'm moving forward in this, so number 5, we're going to replace fear with purpose. Remember, we're talking about when it comes to your goals, it's not, most people want to think about getting rid of habits, but you have to replace those habits with something else. So let's replace fear with purpose. Why? When it comes to fear, fear does not always disappear. What happens though is that it can get smaller. See, everybody has some amount of fear. So the successful people, they have fear too. The difference is that they don't let fear make their decisions. They're not ruled by it. That's not the way it goes. So what happens is if you have to take the time and be intentional about focusing on purpose. So that purpose fills the space of fear. See, purpose reminds you why you started. As you begin to look over your purpose, whether you have it written down, you have it posted on the wall, you have it on some of your screens there, that reminds you, say, okay, this fear, it reminds you why you started. And then also purpose becomes louder than fear. It stands out. It is now amplified. It's on the megaphone. It has now taken center stage. It is now the big fish in your pond or in your ocean. See, when you have those difficult days, purpose is what gives it meaning. It keeps you moving, especially when motivation fades, because many people, we rely on that motivation. We're thinking motivation is what sees us off, what gets us to a space, and that's not the case. It's not motivation, because motivation is eventually going to fade. That's when purpose comes in. Purpose comes in and gives you, when you have taken the time to build up courage, purpose gives your courage direction. So you want to focus on letting your mission be bigger than your worries. So if you fill your life with purpose instead of possibilities, then the purpose becomes a reality and those possibilities fade away. Okay. So replace fear with purpose. Fill the space. All right. Next. Number 6. Yeah, we're at number 6 already. As I said, I've pivoted from the 5. 8 is one of my favorite numbers, so that's why you get 8 of these. Yes. So now, number 6 in filling up the space with 8 things that you can grow is replace busyness with intentionality. Now, being busy isn't the same as being productive, as actually filling in, making moves. So some people stay busy all day, and what happens is they realize at the end of the day they haven't moved close to their goals. See, they see that they're moving, they're active, they're involved, they're engaged, but they're confusing activity with achievement, and those are 2 different concepts. So when you say yes to something, when you say yes to helping this person out and yes to moving forward with this, that yes is a no to something else. And you got to define what that something else is. If it's something that's pertaining to your goals, to your progression, to you walking in that purpose we spoke about, then it's time to have a sit down and that real come to Jesus conversation. So this is then we take the time, and you've got to learn to schedule your priorities instead of prioritizing your schedule. See, that's key. So what do? You protect your calendar. That's where you assign your tasks. That's where you block out time and saying, this is what's going to get done. This is the effort that moves the needle, that pushes it forward. So protect your calendar. Next, you want to protect your energy. So you have a particular amount that you get deposited in every day, certain amount. And so you want to be sure that your energy is protected for the things that you've laid out, things that you decide to push forward and move in that. Okay. So that's important. Now, you protect your calendar, you protect your energy, and next you want to protect your attention. See, attention is a currency now with so many platforms, so many companies, so many things out there buying for your attention. It's a commodity, it's a currency. So you have to see what's important about that. How do I move forward? What can I do to be sure that my attention is on my priorities? So you focus on what really moves the needle, what actually has impact. So that means you've got to scrutinize all of your efforts, scrutinize your schedule down to the detail, grill it. You've got to grill it, put it under the hot light and say, what do you do? Are you moving the needle? Why are you on my schedule? What's your purpose? You've got to look at it. You've got to grill your actions just like that. See, intentional people, they accomplish more because they choose carefully. It's not about all the movement, the activity. It's about impact, achievement. So be sure you fill your schedule with things that have purpose instead of things that cause pressure. Okay. So we're filling the space by replacing busyness with intentionality. So that was number 6. Number 7. Let's move forward. Number 7. And filling the space and 8 things that help you to grow. Replace information with implementation. And let me just check here, make sure everything is good. All right, we're good. We are good. All right. So, as I said, we want to, number 7, replace information with implementation. See, knowledge doesn't change anything until you take the action that applies it. So, when the current age that we live in, it's it's unlimited information. And you've got books, and mind you, those are coming all series. You've got books, you've got audio books, you've got books that are, that are dictated, read, all those things. You've got podcasts, you've got videos, there are courses, there's AI, there's workshops, webinars. There are all these things that want your attention, now all this information. So trust me, there is no lack. If there is a lack, we need to have a discussion. We do, because you have plenty of information. This is the time. And so it's not about having an information problem, because there's plenty of it. The issue that many people have is implementation, actually applying that information. We like to be stuck. We like accumulating. We like gathering all these things because it's comfy. I can sit back on my courses and sit back on this learning and all those things. However, when it comes to it, it's about implementation, actually activating it, put it into action. So we know that learning, it's important, but applying what you learn, that's transformational. So you don't want to become the person that collects ideas. You've got to become a person that executes them. So you want to be sure that when you take your ideas and you have your information, your notebooks and things, you've got to execute. So when it comes to you writing down and notes, your reviews, be sure you fill your journal with action and not just notes. That's important. Okay. Number 8, fill the space. Replace comfort with growth. And we talked about this earlier. It's interesting that, that this is the topic. We talked about it earlier, that comfort feels safe, but the growth changes your life. It does. So there's a part of our brains that does not like growth. It likes It likes comfort. It likes to sit back. It likes to be safe. It likes to make sure that we're not in danger. And interesting enough, it sees that growth as danger. Why? Because your brain is always in a safety mode. It wants to protect you. It wants to be sure that as the needle moves, it doesn't hit the red, it stays within this nice safe area. Growth is change. It pushes the needle into that red area. And so the brain is going to say, my gosh, hold on. We've got to get back to where we're comfortable. Why? Because when you're being stretched, when you're being challenged, when you're asking more of yourself, all of that is growth. And growth is not comfortable. Growth pushes it. Growth lives where that needle is red. It lives right there. Like that needle's pushed there, that's where it lives. That's where you hang out. That's your new residence. See, comfort, that's going to keep you familiar, but familiar isn't always better. So every new level, every new step, new milestone, it's going to require a new version of yourself. And so and so that's when you're taking the steps because those new levels, those new milestones, that's that growth there. Hey Mia, hey Pooh, that your conversations become bigger. Responsibilities, the opportunities, all those become bigger because you're moving forward and you're taking steps. So as you're doing that, you've got to choose growth even when it's uncomfortable. See, every step that you take outside of your comfort zone, you're making room for a stronger version of yourself. So fill your life with growth instead of settling for being familiar. So this is actually one of the reasons why I wrote my second book. This book isn't about, it's not about becoming someone else. It's about intentionally stepping into and shaping the person that you are. So growth happens through replacement. You start with one thing, you start with one decision, one habit, one conversation, one day at a time. And so that's how you do that. Now, if you're interested in learning more, love for you to grab a copy of that and let me know if it resonates with you. My new book, The Doorways of Life, Volume 2, The Gates of Growth. It is out now. Now, everything we talked about tonight is very simple to understand. The challenge isn't understanding it, it's consistently living it. So that's exactly why I started my weekly mastermind. So every Thursday, we meet to go beyond inspiration. So we focus on implementation, we build accountability, we work on mindset, we create systems that help people follow through. Now, members receive every recording, worksheet, any exercise and resource that we've done. Now, if you're tired of trying to figure it out on your own and you're ready to grow in our community of people, and the people that are serious about getting better, send me a message. That way we can book a session and we can connect and I can give you more information about that, how you can get partner up with that. All right. So it looks like we're doing good. Let me check here. All right. Doing pretty decent. Everything's charging up. And be sure to come in when you come in, connect, heart meet, all that good stuff. Yeah, when you come in, share out the live, tap the screen. So, yes, thank you for coming in. So, I was talking about filling the space, 8 things to help you grow. So, I was taught. So, the summary of what I was saying is that most people, we think about growth as getting rid of bad habits. And so, really, it's not about just getting rid of it and having that empty space because the mind hates space. You have to replace something with that. So you want to be sure that you're replacing any thoughts of self-doubt with thoughts of purpose, with thoughts of growth, right? So those are the things. So we talked about replacing, being sure not to leave an empty space. So it's replacing self-doubt with preparation, replace procrastination with action, and there are things along those lines. And so that's definitely what we were doing. Let's see. And so let me just check here. I was just about to close out, but I thank you. Or was there anything that you wanted to talk about specifically, Ben? Oh, Logan, how do you know if you're growing? That's a great question. Glad you asked. And so One of the ways to know that if you're growing is you want to be sure that you are measuring your progress. So first, you've got to have your goal, and your goal means that there's got to be something specific you're aiming for, and you've got to have a point where you're starting and where you're starting, and then where you plan to be. And so it's got to be measurable. How do you measure your growth? You measure it using our space of time. You also can measure it with accountability as well, meaning that you have somebody that's outside objectively looking at your growth, looking at your progress. See, it's a challenge to really be your own. You cannot be your own accountability partner because you're in the picture. So just like if you put on an outfit, you may ask someone, "Hey, how do I look?" And so they're going to walk around you because they're seeing the whole picture. You can't see yourself. And so when it comes to your growth, it comes to you moving your goals, it's always good to have somebody to look at it objectively. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Logan? So you've got to measure your growth with have you got to have a starting point and you've got to have a check-in point. That's how you do that. So if your goal, let's say, is to eventually, let's say it's a health goal. You have a goal that you want to do 10,000 steps by the end of the month. We're in July 6th. You want to do 10,000 steps. So you could say, all right, if I want to do 10,000 steps, let me start with 2,500 in the first week and see if I can do that every day. So you measure that. So how you measure growth? Growth is going to be measured over a period of time. And so you break down your goals and you continually break down my goals. If I do 2,500 per week, I divide 2,500 by 7. And so if I do that, then that leaves me about 300, so 7 into 2,500. If I do 2,500 for the week, that means that I've got to do, and that's 2,500 per week and increasing 2,500 each week. So it's how many steps you're doing per day, those types of things there that you're doing. So you've got to be sure to have a clear goal, a space to measure, and you got to be sure you book it on your calendar and have somebody objectively be able to help you with that, to look on the outside. Did I answer your question, Logan? And also, and be sure, put a one into to the chat. Hey, I'm glad it helped. I'm glad it helped. Be sure to, share out the chat, tap up the screen, heart meet, anything along those lines. But hey, the fact that you commented, I'm grateful. Thank you for coming in. And so when you're here, remember, as you're growing, it's not about getting rid of habits. It's about replacing one thing with another. So, as I said, we talked about our 8 things. We replace self-doubt with preparation. You replace procrastination with action. So you replace comparison with gratitude, being grateful for the steps that you've taken. So those are the things that you can do as you're moving forward in that. So and so I want to thank you all for coming in. As I said, I published my new book July 4th, called The Doorways of Life, Volume 2, The Gates of Growth. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. The Gates of Growth. My new book is out. I don't have it in hand. The only one I have in hand is my previous book, The Doorways of Life. Open yourself up to a new perspective. Volume 2 has been released. Definitely be sure it is available. It's out there. Once I have it in hand, I'll be excited to show you, but I'm very grateful for being able to do that. So we talked about the 8 things that can help you grow. If you want more insight into that, if you're interested in just some insight on a particular challenge you have, message me. I have free sessions that I do, no charge, no sales, no cost. Just free sessions. Send me a DM, send me a message, and I'll reach back out to you and say, hey, this is how we can coordinate a time. Done deal. Done deal. So if you're interested in that, be sure just to message me. I do respond to them. You just have to reach out. Okay. So I go live. Currently, I go live Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a mastermind that I do on Thursdays. It's a community I have where we take the things that I talk about in my life and we actually implement them. It's a community where it's implemented. Monthly membership. We meet weekly. You get access to the recordings. You get access to the worksheets, the exercises, all of that. Excellent. Thank you so much. And I'll be here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I do want to leave you with this. Remember this, that life isn't transformed simply because we remove something that's unhealthy. It's because we intentionally replace it with something healthier. So replace self-doubt with procrastination, with preparation. Replace procrastination with action. Replace comparison with gratitude. Remember to replace excuses with ownership. Talked about replacing fear with purpose. Replace busyness with intentionality. Replace information with implementation, and replace comfort with growth, because empty spaces never stay empty. So don't just remove what's holding you back, fill it with space, what will move you forward. So I want to thank you all. I appreciate it. I've got to get ready for my 6, but I'll be back here 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you all soon. Be sure to follow, check out my post and all things there, and message me if you want to connect. I appreciate you all. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for everything here. Have an excellent, blessed, and great day. You as well, Logan. Thank you so much. You as well, Ben Goat. Good to see you all. I'll see you soon in the next live. Be blessed.